Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. The other day I talked about it was a Republican, I forget the guy's name, De La Boulier or whatever, former New York congressman or Republican, who said that 2018 would be a horrible year for Donald Trump. It'll be a horrible year for the Republicans. And I went down the 28 reasons that he said that. And no exaggeration, half of them were in favor of Trump. And I started thinking this is misinformation. He's just trying to get leftists to read it because it was crazy for him to believe. He can't possibly believe that. But then again, we are talking about insanity. And the insanity that can come from the left. Now, and by the way, the reasons that he gave that were theoretically legitimate as to why Trump was going to have a bad year, like the Mueller investigation and stuff like that, is just, you'd have to really be the biggest optimist on the planet to believe that that's going to occur. It's the same thing of Maxine Waters believing that there's going to be an impeachment of Donald Trump. It's just, you're delusional if you think that. But guess what? The left are delusional. The left are insane. And when I tell you that the left are insane, I'm not saying it to be funny. I'm not saying it because it's like, oh, that'll make for good radio. I'm telling you, these people are insane. It doesn't. Schools. Okay, I'll give you an example. There was a Marine who was dressed in his uniform going to the base, takes his daughter to school. They won't let a Marine into a school. It was like an elementary school. A member of the service in his uniform. This isn't a guy dressed up in goth and carrying a weapon. This is a Marine dropping his daughter off to the school. They won't let him in. Just to put things in perspective. And guys, and gals, you have of story after story where you're going, this is crazy. Spitting in cops' food. Not letting we don't serve police. One instance, we talked about a college campus where they had a coffee shop, and the kids were having a conversation about pro-life. You need to get out of my coffee shop. Get out of here. And there's this big exchange because we don't want your kind in here. What? People that actually believe that babies are okay, should be saved. I know. How bad are we? We're here, in our tactical gear with our Nazi buttons on, ready to just beat down anybody that's not part of the Aryan race. It's ridiculous. They love their insanity. More than you know. And so, this idea that they think that they can win in 2018. Look, folks, I'm not one of these people that's going to say, it's what you want to hear. We're going to be kicked their butts in 2018. Yeah, I can't wait for November. I can't wait for November because I know what's going to happen. They're going to get their butts kicked. Pure and simple. Reince Priebus was talking about it on, I believe, Fox News. I'm not sure. But he talked about the midterms. But he was talking about it in the context of Maxine Waters, who's saying the impeach president, impeach 45. And the left leadership is telling her, shut up. And she's bragging that I'm not shutting up. They're not going to tell me what to do. And she's putting she's essentially putting the last nail in the coffin for the Democratic Party. And they're begging her to shut up. I love that she's out there talking impeachment. She's talking impeachment for a guy who is truly, if you think year one was good, year two, I'm telling you, folks, is going to be even that much more spectacular. But anyway, here's a clip of Reince Priebus rebutting Maxine Waters.
About the midterm elections, and because that's one of your areas of specialty, no one doubts when you took over the place, the RNC was buried in debt, and then little by little you took over the state houses, you took over the House, then they took over the Senate, then you got the White House. No one could doubt your track record, Reince. So put on your analyst hat, if you would, and tell me right now if this message from Maxine Waters will resonate with Democratic voters, or will it actually ignite Republicans to back Republicans? Let's listen.
Well, I said he should be impeached, and they said don't use that word. Don't say anything about impeachments. The Republicans will only use it against us. Democrats, I don't care what the Republicans say. I say impeach 45. My gun is bigger than your gun. My rocket is more powerful than your rocket. And on and on and on. All I see is two heads of state, Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, both who have questionable agendas and questionable mental health.
Wow. So is that going to ignite which party?
Well, I think it probably ignites both, Brian, but I think her approach is not going to work in the midterm election here, and here's why. First of all, most of these House races are in marginal seats. In other words, these are very moderate seats. These are difficult messaging seats. It's 50-50, and the more wacky and the more wild you get in your rhetoric, the less it works in these kinds of districts. Now, where it can help is in engaging in volunteers, in stirring up the base and making sure that you've got people working a phone bank 12 hours a day. But ultimately, where everyone's sort of misreading this is that they forget that on Election Day in 2016, President Trump's approval number was 37%. He's higher than that today. He's doing better today than he did on Election Day. You add on top of that there are things that Republicans and Democrats agree on that the president's done very well on. Number one, the economy, jobs, wage growth, taxes, ISIS overseas, the security of America, deregulation. Now, there are things that Republicans love, like what he's done on the courts. Here's the deal. When you look at what the president has accomplished, and you look at his decisions, things are going very, very well. And so ultimately that's what people in these moderate districts that are in play are going to judge these elections on.
That's a good common sense analysis by Reince Priebus. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's Kevin Jackson Show. It's common sense. And let me tell you, if I were the left, I would be very concerned with everything that Reince Priebus just talked about. Trump's approval numbers are higher than they were when he was elected. And by the way, those numbers were fake. How do you get elected with 37% approval and you get 49.99% of the vote or whatever and win the Electoral College? How does that happen? Knowing with everything that they did to cheat on the other side, I would contend to you that Donald Trump probably was in the 54 to 55% range had they been doing it on the up and up. That's what I believe. You just never know with the left. But the things that the Democrats and Trump agree on: economy, jobs, wage growth, ISIS, deregulation, etc. Now, they may disagree on the tax cuts, but we all know where that's ended up. And then, of course, what is he satisfied Republicans with? Tax cuts, selections on the courts, not just the Supreme Court, on the federal judges at that level, and all the others. What else? Foreign policy, trade initiatives, stabilizing of the dollar, and there is that dreaded stock market. So what else can these people talk about? He's got, and the moderates love accomplishment. The people that base things on results this is something we haven't had to do in a while because everybody else just tells you what they want to tell you during the election cycle and do nothing else. So good luck with that.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.